My name is Dawn Wagoner. I'm happy to be here. And we are going to have a short 25-minute webinar called Marketing by Numbers, How to Prove Your Needs with a Budget. This is me, Dawn Wagoner. I'm one of the owners of Ingenuity Marketing Group. I'm not going to go in too much detail in my bio, because I know you can all go to ingenuitymarketing.com and check me out. Plus, there's lots of fun photos on there. So let's start and talk about why you need a budget. And I love this photo because the guy is actually begging for money. And as a business owner, budgets have really helped me forecast expenses going into the future, but also looking at where we are right now currently. But as a past marketing director, I liked budgets because there is actually clarity on what I could spend. So how should we start the process of putting together a budget? There are just a few things to consider when you're thinking about doing it. The very first thing you want to do is, what is your competition doing? And this is around really looking at, your marketing plan, which I'm going to talk about in a few minutes here. But, are they doing anything unique, and do you need to keep up with them? How is your firm doing, especially financially? I really like this because, of course, as marketing directors or marketing people, we all want as much money as we can have because there's so much fun marketing things that you can do on a regular basis. But it's really important to know what your firm is doing from the goals of the firm to also financially. The next thing you want to consider is what industries and practice groups should you focus on. And the best tip I have for that is really look at the past 3 years. If your firm can identify and does tracking around each service or niche area, look at that and see what trends are happening. It might be a new industry that you're going after or a new niche, but it might be something that you really need to put more money into because you really think there's a lot of opportunity there. Firm goals for the year. I actually talked about this with number 2 around how your firm is doing, but actually knowing what the firm goals of the year are extremely important because you want to make sure that, if they have a direct goal of focusing on, say, a new industry or new audience, you want to make sure that you also then are allowing some marketing dollars to go into marketing of that. The thing that I always have is plan for the unexpected. I used to have what was called a slush fund in my budget. I'm a firm believer of adding even $5,000 because estimates are estimates when you get them from vendors, and I know because I am a vendor, but things can come up. You might have a great opportunity that you want to make sure that you can put into your marketing plan and budget for the year, and if you don't have any money, then it's a lost opportunity. So you want to make sure that you're planning for the unexpected. And obviously start with a plan. Very important. The next thing you want to make sure that you do is know your stuff. Whether it's you're looking at past budgets, if that's possible, because some firms, this might be the very first budget that you've ever done for a firm. But old proposals, if they're categorizing any expenses, ask for that information for things that should actually go into a marketing budget. But those are things that would really help you build your budget. You also want to make sure that you're creating influence. And what I mean by this is finding that champion, that partner, or someone that actually does have some influence in the decision makers of your firm, the owners, the partners, and get them on what I would call your budget board. So think about who that could be, and I encourage you to schedule that meeting now because that will actually help you and make it much easier to get that budget approved. And I would really just have the conversation with that partner or the owner or that influencer around the value of tracking expenses and why you want to develop a budget. Okay, you've heard me talk about your marketing plan. It's very important that you develop your initial marketing plan. It's really hard to budget for something if you don't know what you're going to budget for, which is why you also have to do a marketing plan. You want to make sure that you determine an estimated cost for each item on your wish list, because at this point it really is just your wish list. Create a business case for each item and then attach the budget. And I would say, as I always have before regarding marketing plans, this really is your job description for the year. This is every tactical item and strategic item that you need to make sure that you're getting done or someone else is getting done for you that year. So I sent, or actually Melissa Trost in our office sent out an email asking for questions. And one of the questions was how much for budget. And so they're usually, for professional service firms, it seems like a standard between 1% and 3%. So I went and did some basic or some current research, and right now law firms' budgets range anywhere from 2.4 to 2.8% of revenue. CPA firm budgets are a little bit behind that. And unfortunately, I had a really hard time finding the AEC budget. So the last number I have was 3.1% from 2008, unfortunately. But I thought what was interesting is when I was doing this updated research, compared to the rest of the world, now I know that we're professional service firms, so we're a bit different from other companies, but 9.1% is the average for companies for budgets. And I thought that was really interesting. So we're definitely, professional services definitely do not spend as much. And I think some of that is because professional services are really relationship-based, but I do see that changing. Another question I had was around the recession. Now it's several years after the recession, but have I seen anything different in terms of budgets? Now I would definitely say law firms still have tight budgets. And actually I was at the LMA Minnesota conference last week, and they talked about their tight budgets. But I don't really believe that particular law firms in general is due to recession. Some of it is just the flat growth that law firms are experiencing. Where I have seen over the last couple of years especially, but all other areas of professional services really are growing. However, the one thing that is different since the recession is they want to be very clear on how they're spending their money. So Ingenuity Marketing Group has been hired more than ever to create marketing plans and budgets because firms want to make sure that they're seeing the results in anything they do. So as a marketing director or partner, make sure that your firm has that, because I think that it'll be much easier to get what you want to do and your strategy marketing tactics approved. So this is one of my favorite quotes, and it was from a friend of mine, but I love it because it talks about maintenance mode and growth mode, and I think that we get in the habit of, okay, what's the standard revenue percentage that we should be spending? And I think what's really important is we need to look at, okay, what are our growth goals and what does that look like? And I actually do see some firms spending anywhere from 5 to 10% of revenue on marketing. The other question that I received was, what should be included or not included? And this is one of those arguments. And unfortunately, it really varies firm to firm. I've seen everything across the board. You know, these are just a few items that really always seem like, okay, should it be included in the marketing budget or not? Anything from retreats to letterhead and business cards, even though I would say that's the cost of doing business, marketing staff salaries. I've also heard mixed feedback regarding marketing staff development and even professional staff development. I know law firms include CLEs, so training a lot in their budgets, and I think that there's some argument around, okay, you're training them to be experts and kind of developing a product, more or less, product research. And so you could probably argue every which way. The other thing is personal or partner budgets. I've seen in budgets or not. So I would figure out what you think should be included in the budget, then go to that influencer and that partner group and then have that conversation and just see how that works. I've always felt when I was in-house as a marketing director, I didn't like it when there were things in my budget that I didn't have control over. So I think that these kinds of things are some of those items. So sometimes that's is what difficult, because I want to make sure that I have complete control over whatever budget I am in charge of. So a few preparation tips to start out with is I would encourage you to have your budget done 2 to 3 months before your fiscal calendar year ends. Once again, make sure that you're sitting down with the key influencers before presenting the plan and the budget to gain buy-in. Make sure that your business cases are tight, like why should you do this and why should you spend the money. And then really expect to be patient, because everything that goes in your budget, you probably will not get approved. I always used to put a couple just fun things in my budget, even though I knew they wouldn't get approved, just because I knew that they wanted to kick a few things out every once in a while. So if there's something that you want, if you didn't get approved in this year's budget, put it in next year's budget. Just remember, patience are a virtue. Next, you want to present the plan and the budget to the partner group. And you know, you've heard me talk a little bit about business cases, and I have found that research is the most important way to build a business case. We're just going to wait a minute. We're in downtown St. Paul. All right, so there's tons of statistics out there. You want to make sure that you're looking at your competition. If you're a member of an association, make sure that you're looking at what other firms in your association are doing. And then you'll be able to show the partners and the owners why this really is a good investment. One way to help with ROI and budget is making sure that in all of your marketing materials and the marketing that you're doing is that you're always including a call to action and making sure it's a strong call to action. And this is one area that I think most marketers fail, which makes the ROI tracking even harder. So if you're going to have a budget and you want to make sure that the marketing that you're doing, you're showing results as well as, you know, whether good or bad, because that will also help you then in the future on how you should spend your money. You want to make sure that you are doing some sort of call to action strategy. And I have a really simple one here, but this is, you know, it's all around, say you're talking about how to grow a niche practice. The next thing is that you're doing a seminar or webinar on it. You've asked the audience to download, or you've sent them some bonus material after the webinar or seminar, and you've asked them to download a link because you can track those downloads on your website. Then, or you lead them to a niche service website page with bios. And then those bios are actually little mini microsites which actually have more niche-focused articles and videos. So the the beauty of this example is that you're actually guiding them through your website as well and telling them what to do, which is the goal of that call to action. And there's several areas here that you're able to track: the email, the attendance at the seminar, webinar, how many downloaded the link from that email, did they go to the niche service page, did they go to your bio, did they read any articles. And that's a lot of ROI that you can actually track. So here are just a few more ideas for return on investment, or what we would call return on objective. You want to look at your website traffic. Google Analytics is a wonderful way to do that. And or creating landing pages for any campaigns that you're doing, whether email, social media, or even direct mail campaigns. Push them to your website. PR hits that you're getting. How many leads are actually in your pipeline? And how many leads are at 30, 60, 90, or 120 days? If one of your experts are speaking, you have speaking evaluation forms that they can say what a great speaker that person was, and they want to sit down with you. And then social media interaction. It's really easy to look at how many likes you have, shares, that kind of thing. the final thing that you want to do after you've created your budget, and once your budget is approved, is actually the follow-through that will happen. So throughout the year, we want to make sure that you carefully track your budget and the return on investment as well as return on objectives. You want to update leadership on both of those, as well as your budget and your plan and where you're at. And I would make sure that you do it on a regular basis. So if your partners have an executive committee meeting, you are at that executive committee meeting every month for 10 minutes to give them a quick update. You want to make sure that you, as I said, the executive committee have a group to report to on the budget in case, and why besides giving them the update, but if you get any partner pressure to buy certain things, I'm sure that never happens, or sponsorship that they want to do. This is a great opportunity where, you know, you can actually ask the partner group whether or not this is something that, you know, you should do or not do. And then at the year end, if not sooner, you should always show your actual to budget and where you came out at. This also just shows that you have a really good sense of business, too, and how that looks. All right, we have a few more minutes. That is what we have for budget. Do we have any questions? We are looking right now. Nope, we have no questions. So I encourage you to, if you do have any questions, email me, which in a minute my email address is there. I'm happy to answer any questions around marketing plans or budget. This is where you can find us on social media, and then this is my email. So thank you all.